che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, caricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno si è avverato, è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
Il gol è un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare felici e contenti.
Con questa maglia devo veramente fare una performance diversa perché sto rappresentando.
Morning, evening, afternoon, good night. Hello everyone, how's it going? It's Shane from the Milanese 360 podcast with his co-host Lab Gorilla and Mr. Husney. Oh man, it's probably been the worst week for Milan that I can remember, at least in the last month, because it seems to be getting worse and worse all the time. I guess, okay, maybe Husney, let's kick over to you. How's your week been, man?
Not great. Personal life very busy, very tiring as well. But on top of that, have to deal with the emotions from this club. Glad I managed to find a bit of time just to vent a little bit. And Lab Gorilla, have you been?
I mean, I'm here to vent. I'm here to talk to my buddies, my fellow Milanese. This is why we love the club, guys, because we're here doing this 8 a.m. UK time, 8:22 UK time on a Sunday, because we love the club, but it's not giving us much reason to love it at the moment, if I'm honest. Just like you guys, very, very busy week. I've got loads of work around the house to be doing, to keep getting on with, but this is a nice welcome break. So let's do it, guys. This is going to be a monumentous one, hasn't it, Shane?
Okay, so yeah, let's start with the share. So yeah, great show ahead, and let's kick things off.
Right. So welcome, by the way, Fahadinho and Kashavit. Buongiorno, buonasera a tutti. Right, so what do we call this one? Burn the hype train, right, hasn't it? Wasn't that the title?
Burn it to the ground, because it's already on fire. Bad.
Absolutely. Burn the shit out of it. Here we go. The swearing started already. That was good.
Yeah, this is extra hard because Teo is like my favorite player. So
yeah,
anyway, let's go.
Theo is the theme. So we've got to talk about it because we haven't. Our home game against Feyenoord. First thing I wanted to say, look, let's just look at raw numbers to begin with. Let's honestly just look at the raw numbers. Goals 1-1. We had 18 shots to Feyenoord 6. 7 on our shots were on target. They only had 1 shot on target, which was their goal, which is all they needed. You know, over 2 legs, you have to say it. We only scored 1 goal over 2 legs. That's not good enough to go through. It's as simple as that. Doesn't matter that we had 6 block shots. Doesn't matter that we had a shot on the bar. We had 12 shots inside the box. They only had 3, 6 outside the box. The stats say we were the dominant team. The stats say we should have won that game. The realistic answer is we did not score enough goals. Santi did score his goal. We scored an early goal. I sat back and relaxed and said, okay, here we go. We're going to pound on them. And one thing I told you guys, when you're on top, what is it that every team has to do when they're so heavily on top? They have to put the ball away. And they never did. It didn't matter that I think Theo hit the bar. Correct me if I'm wrong. We had some serious chances, but we couldn't put the ball away. And when it reached half time, I remember texting you guys and saying, this is not good. This is very dangerous. A 1-0 scoreline is never good enough. Something could happen. Someone else also mentioned something, and it was Fahadinho. Fahadinho said at halftime, "Hey, Theo's got a yellow card. I can see him getting a red one." I wish, Fahadinho, that you did not have your crystal balls out that day, because you were so bloody right. But what I never imagined was that this lineup was going to lose, draw the game against Feyenoord, and that Theo Hernandez around the 50th minute will behave like an absolute moron. And it has to be said, Shane, I know you like the guy, but I'm sorry. What he did that day, and the fact that he even tried to complain, disgusting. Like the way he stood up there and he seriously tried to complain about being given a yellow card for that blatant dive. As I said, first things first, positives. Let's give Santi his dues. 3 goals and 1 assist already. His tally is growing game by game. He is a striker, there's no doubt whatsoever. He's the man on the spot. That ball was crossed in by Pulisic. Chow headed it back across goal, and Jimenez was the man to finish it off. Bang. That's a striker. Striker's instinct. But this, I don't want anyone to argue that Theo did not dive. Oh my God. The very fact that I was able to get camera angle where you don't even see the Feyenoord player tells you that he was the most blatant dive you can think of. Before I say anything else, Hasni, what's your take on the game?
Yeah, I watched extended highlights. I didn't watch the game live. I thought we started in the best way possible. So having that one goal early on, you could say it's one of the best things that you could actually hope for if you really want to take command of the entire game. But then, yeah, even before the red card, the chances weren't put away, as you rightly mentioned, John, and we were punished for it. So there's a lot of emotions in the fan base about this game, but if you look at it in the context of the past 3 games in the Champions League, we didn't need to play this game. We never needed to play Feyenoord. So we're the club now that it's sad to say this is whenever these opportunities keep coming to help us out, having the extra fixture, that extra chance to help us progress, we never to make full use of it. And yeah, this is another example. And for what specifically happened, and what led to really that we could never get back into the game. Um, Theo this season it's been more a liability, I think. So everyone can remember when he's been on fire, that's good at the winning season, all those memories, yes. But we're really seeing, and in my opinion, I really believe that 2 things. One, a player in decline, sharp decline. Secondly, and this is another issue with management, is that when you don't have other players competing for this spot, you are allowing this sort of behavior to essentially go unchecked. Yeah. So we're going to talk
Great point.
about the next game where Theo also featured. Didn't do much, if not anything. But there's absolutely no punishment other than the apology, and I think maybe there's a fine that you'd have to pay to the club. Other than that, yeah, nothing's gonna happen.
That's
So
a great
yeah,
point, Hasni.
it's
Great point, mate.
overall disappointing.
Yeah.
Shane,
Shane.
your
Yeah, so the worst thing that this team can do is what they're trying to do right now, which is just consistently pummel the goal and hope for some success. So the thing is, we can't be surprised about results like this because, and I know I've echoed it on a few podcasts, we're a bargain bin EPL team, right? We've no concept of how to actually counter effectively anymore. That died when Tonali and Kessie were sold, right? When you have players like, Musa and João Felix lining up for you, consistently lining up for you, and the two of them are offering next to nothing, you're effectively playing 9 against 11 men there, right? So you can't really be surprised when we get dumped out by the B team of let's say, aside from a very average league. symptomatic of what's going on, I think, overall in Serie A at the moment, which I don't think a lot of people seem to want to admit or seem to want to talk about. When you have Atalanta getting dumped out, when you have Juventus as junk as they are getting dumped out, and then when you have Milan getting dumped out, all to three very average sides, right? That does not look good for Serie A in the long run, right? Inter, probably, the best that Serie A has. Sorry, but they're, head and shoulders over Napoli. The rest of the season will tell you this, right? They'll go and they'll fucking destroy Feyenoord, right? But when you look at the rest of the teams behind them, us included, getting dumped out to the likes of Feyenoord, PSV, and Bruges does not look good. We deserved everything that happened in this game. I think people seem to be getting people seem to be getting wrapped up in the reasons why we're losing these games. Like, I know we're going to talk about the Torino, fuck up in a moment, right? And it seems to be all these individual fuck ups. But when you look at it, right, every team goes through these moments where, one player may not be having the best day, but the other 10 on the pitch should be able to rally and then come up with a result, right? We don't have that. It's kind of. I mean, I'm still backing Conceição, right? Believe it or not, over the players, because I think the more that we see the players play, the more we realize that they're just not. They don't have the mental capacity to be able to do anything. So I'd rather that most of the first team is kind of burnt at this point, trying a couple of kids, and then maybe, hopefully, we can get someone different in the summer. But Jesus Christ, when you see that, you even look at the stats, right, from this game, it's like the first half completely just all over them, right? But if that was Inter versus them, it would have been 3 or 4-0 at halftime. That's the difference. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's a good point, Shane. I think maybe let's take a bit of a pause there for a second and read some comments, okay? Because we've got a lot of comments that have come in. So Januardi or Januardi, I don't know which one is which. 3 more months until either management gets fired or Jerry sells. Stay strong. I mean, that's probably the most positive way you can look into the rest of our season, because it gives you hope for something. Kachavit says reports suggest maybe Sarri next season, but also reports of Gasparini leaving Atalanta. I've seen them. Januardi says get a sporting director. I don't care if it's effing Paratici or can one of the biggest clubs in the world does not have a sporting director. It's ridiculous. Yeah, we don't have a serious sporting director. I'll say that. And Hasni Hernandez, is this you, Hasni? Is this your pseudonym?
No, it's not. It's not.
All right.
It's not.
Okay. It's not. So he says, I hope what Enrico said, that something happens in March or June, will come true. I do too. The guy's pushing these rumors out, and I hope he has some kind of inside knowledge on this, because we need it. And he says, agrees with you, Shane. Conceição's not the problem. The players are. The situation is not fair for him, but the management put him in this kind of situation. And Inter are going to smash Feyenoord. Pachavit says, I do think that is the case. I think one point I want to say on this is that if you're a team that is as limited as Feyenoord, you play that game exactly the way that they had to, because there was no other way that they could play it, guys. So I think one thing that's lacking in all of the Milan fan base is saying, look, Feyenoord did their best that they could, and they got through. They conceded only 1 goal against us over 2 matches. They let us implode, but they scored the goals when they needed to, right? Am I wrong there? They scored at home, and then they scored in this game to knock us out even before we could get to extra time. So if you're a limited team like Feyenoord, this is the way you have to play it. Stand-in coach. They've now apparently got a new coach. What's that guy? He's the former striker. Van Nistelrooy, I think, might be there. Is that right? They got a new coach. And
interesting. So that shows you just right. So if a coach can deliver, right, can basically get their squad to beat Milan over 2 legs, and then they still get in a new coach. It just shows you how far that we've fallen in European football, man. Because it's like it's not even looked at as like a result. It's kind of looked at as like, oh, well, he was just doing his job.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? I agree with you that they were like, hang on a minute, we got this interim coach has done this incredible thing, which is qualify them for the knockout stages against Milan, and they were like, nope, we're going to replace him.
I just want
Yeah,
to
I
add
think
one thing,
yeah.
guys. And I think it's also a prelude to whatever happens next season. The way that it looks like, if you ask me, the chances of us making top four, not say impossible, mathematically possible, but the way that we play, it's maybe we might make it impossible for ourselves.
We
If we
don't
were to
deserve
play,
it though, Hosni. That's the thing. We 100%, even if we somehow scrape top 4, we do not deserve that position.
yeah,
That's the
and what's worse than that is that if we don't make top four and we play in the Conference League, any team, what's some of the names that we've seen, like Karabag, whatever, in Azerbaijan and all that, they look at Milan. No one is afraid of us. Part of the
No.
reason why teams are dominant is because they go in with this fear factor that other teams are, essentially they drop the morale a little bit and a bit jittery. No one is afraid of us in Europe. You can be a
Yeah.
team from the middle of nowhere. Look at these games. Look at these clubs that we play against. We can't do the
Yeah.
job. Look at the Torino game. No one will ever be afraid of us. So this job, whichever European competition, if we are in Europe next season, it will be made even tougher. So yeah, that's just letting it out a little bit.
So let's just catch up again. Fahadinho, Hasni, I agree that Theo's in decline. I also agree management are at fault previously of not having a proper replacement. So this is, again, it's a great point. We'll get to it in a minute. True that Theo's overworked and underpaid. And I don't know which one of you said it. I think it was you, Hasni, but if you don't have someone that's challenging that player on the bench, realistically, you can afford to be an absolute shithole every single week. You can, because you're like, imagine not feeling like your job was on the line if you were crap at it. It's incredible. It's just incredible. And then Gianardi, last comment, he says, which player are you betting to make a mistake next match? I'm telling you, man, I've been losing a lot of money betting lately. It was ridiculous. Like yesterday, I was a complete knobhead and I bet on Man United to beat Everton away. Man United are the most ridiculous club. They're probably our equivalent in the Premiership at the moment in terms of the way they're dropping points. And finished 2-2. So don't ask me about betting or players. I'm a disaster. I'm an absolute disaster when it comes to betting. I match betting is the only way. Forget normal betting. I'm crap at it. All right. So I wanted to do something because Theo needed to get a bit of a slap for this. Shane, brace yourself. Brace yourself. But I think Theo's diving skills could be applied in other ways, and I'm going to show you in a minute how. This is one stat that I would like to give all of you. It was reported in the Gazzetta. Right. It says Theo, from being the defender with the most goals in the history of Milan, 30, he is now the player with the most red cards in the last 6 years out of any Italian clubs when you count the championship and cups. So where we count Serie A and the cups. So that is, he is the player with the most red cards in the last 6 years. And then if you extend that research to the top 5 leagues in Europe, there is only one player above him, and his name is Teji Savanier with 8 reds, which is a midfielder for Montpellier, who is also French, by the way. So that's a stat. Theo, most red cards any Serie A club over the last 6 seasons.
So I just want to frame this, right? So forget the last screw up, I think, in the Feyenoord game, because that was just I mean you can't defend that or explain that in any way. However, right, what I would say about Theo is, in his defense of the high red card count, if I am playing every game every season, I know that I will need a rest at some point. If the only way that I can get a rest is to get sent off, Because if you look at it, he's had no backup, right? He's had no one to come on. So what Husney was saying about there's no one there to challenge him, right? I'd say there was literally no one even there to take his spot. Like, as in, if he gets sent off or if he gets injured, right? There's been no one there, and it's been consistently an issue. So, you know, I mean, look at it, guys. He's been playing literally every game for the last 6 years.
You're basically saying he's engineering time off.
He has to.
Rest.
He has to.
That's a very interesting theory, Shane. I think there are definite red cards that I can remember where I think he's gone F this. He's definitely done it on occasion where he's just gone F this. I'm getting a red card here.
He has to. Sure, remember before the World Cup, I think there was a pretty bad one, and people are going, "Why is he doing it? Why is he doing it?" It's like, you do realize he's going to be lining up for France for like the next 2 months. The guy needs a rest before he even goes. It just makes sense.
Good theory, Shane. Nice one, mate. Nice one. I can believe that. I can believe that. Hasni, what's your opinion on that?
I just want to say that I'm thinking all the way back to not only this, but all the way back to, if anyone remembers this player, Milos Kerkez. So one of the reasons why he not say he wasn't pushed out. He wasn't pushed out, but he asked to leave. The management sold him for, I thought was not a lot. He went to the Dutch league for a very short while. Now he's in the Premier League. And if I remember, I think it
Worth
was
50 million.
Yeah. That news article, and I don't know if someone interviewed him, but it was due to the lack of opportunity to play at Milan because he was in the Primavera at that point. So we have some of these players that they're from the Primavera, they're sniffing around for opportunities whether they can get into the first team, not be given any, and they leave. A recent example is Simic. So early on, and this is something that could have been resolved a while back, where other than the fact that Theo doesn't have any backup now, there's also no youth product that can start to eat away into his playtime. So it's going to be Theo for all competitions, is what I'm saying. The Champions League, as we've seen, our Serie A, the Supercoppa, the Coppa Italia, all the same guy. So it does make a lot of sense that, as you say, Shane, is that if you're being in a way forced to play, I mean, what is your avenue to say that, okay, I'm tired, without saying that I'm tired? I'm just pretty much going to do what I want. And this then also comes down to management, and everyone's slating management, but this is another point, if you really want to turn up the heat, saying that when we had players, when we want to buy players, why are we not looking to invest in the backup? I know Balo Torre was there, intended to be backup, didn't work out, but no one has ever thought about what is a replacement for him. Terracciano maybe, Florenzi, who seems to be permanently on medical leave. So if you were to sell Theo, as some of the rumors do point out, who are you going to bring in though? No one has an idea about this point. You can't promote anyone. You're gonna have to bring in someone new.
They're looking at this kid from FC Bruges.
Yeah, but if Theo does go and you bring in that kid becomes another Theo, because he's gonna say, "Hey, no one's there to challenge me as well." So
no, 100%. If Theo gets sold, the only logical thing is to get in, I don't know, this starter, so this kid from FC Bruges, but you need another player as well. You know what I mean? You need it. Like, I can't believe that we're talking about, so we're a Champions League club, and if one of our starters, right, if one of our starters gets injured or gets sent off, right, there's such a crippling lack in quality. Imagine if we're talking about Pulisic, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Who's coming in for him? Chukwueze, right?
Musa, mate.
Right? Musa. Like, if Musa, right, if you're a serious Champions League level squad, which we are not, I'm sorry, we're not.
I have just dropped a grenade in the room, haven't I?
Right? But if we're a serious Champions League level squad, which we're definitely not, to be honest, right? Right. But if you're playing Musa, if your answer to taking off Pulisic is putting on Samuel Chukwueze, right? Or you're taking off Santi Jimenez and then you're putting on Tammy Abraham. Like, do you see how that like
The
completely
drop is enormous,
lowers?
isn't it?
Like, it's
Yeah.
enormous. It's not even, you know. And this is complete Redbird bullshit. It's how Moneyball works. Moneyball doesn't take account of what a successful team looks like, which is look at Inter, anti Moneyball, right? Quality players in every position.
And
Now I know,
backups.
and backups, like they have, like their B team could probably do us. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So we can't be surprised.
No, and we'll get to this point. We'll actually really display this point when we look at the squad. Okay, so let's see if I can move to the next one. Post game, all hell broke loose, of course. I mean, as it should, right? It's disgraceful that Milan went out like this. Pathetic, in my opinion. I'm really furious about it. But you resign yourself to the fact that when you look at the overall picture, you can really understand that this squad is just not good enough. Like, it's just not rounded enough, is not good enough. As we've just discussed for several minutes, it's not enough backing for our leading players.
No, no,
So
forget the
for him,
squad, right? The squad
yeah.
are one part, right? The whole sporting project,
Mhm.
like marketing, right? If Redbird, right, can get to 90% of in their sporting project to what they've done on the marketing side, we would be fucking laughing, right? But the thing is the sporting project has completely it. I'm not even going to say it's failed, right? Because it never took off in the first place.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Ibrahimovic comes up after the game and says, I insist that this Milan team is doppio più forti, so twice the strength of the Serie A winning team that he was a member of. I don't know what drugs he's taking. I don't know what he's smoking, but I don't want any of it because clearly it's way too powerful. It causes hallucinations and brain farts.
So, John, I insist, right? If I took a girl home, right now I'm in a relationship, right? But let's say if I was single and I took a girl home tonight from the bar, right? I
Where is this
insist
going?
that I can perform like I'm 25 again and go for hours, right? That doesn't mean I
What
can.
are you doing, Shane?
I'm just saying. I'm saying I can insist on things, right? But it doesn't mean that they're true. Like, you know what I mean? I can lie to myself and I can cope, right? Which is what he's doing.
Oh, mate, what? Jesus, what an example. Thank you, Shane. Thank you very much. You absolute legend. Right, okay. Yes, you can perform. Right, so next thought I had when I saw that dive, I thought let's search for images or where Theo is completely separate to the player that so-called tackled him. And guess what? Very easy. Very easy to find this image. And with the help of a little bit of help from generative AI, here we are. I think Theo could do a fantastic job on the floor. I think his diving skills are really honestly wasted on a football pitch. Here's another picture. Look at this one. He got scored 9.0 by Ibrahimovic there. And, Ibro and Conceição were giving him some backing. I think he could do the high beam. I think he'd get quite good scores there as well. He should take part in the Olympics. But actually, his true skill is in diving. I mean, for God's sake, give him a high board, and let's see what he could do from there. Maybe cliff diving would be another thing that he could do. He'd be amazing at it, I reckon. How did my holiday pictures get in here? I don't understand. He's jumping between buildings like Assassin's
These
Creed style, Shane. Assassin's
these
Creed
photos
style.
are not doctored, by the way.
Not
are
at
100%.
all, mate. Not at all, mate. Oh, and there he is. He's looking for Musa's ball, actually. You remember that shot he had when he was near the goal and he blasted it and he went into space? He's looking for it. He hasn't quite found it still. Right. And here we get back to some serious stuff. I wanted to take the piss a little bit out of Theo because I thought that dive was shambolic. And in this case, I don't think it was because he was trying to get a bit of rest. I think it's because he's just, you know, just wasted that game. He was just not with it at all. So let's have a look at this. And this is a point I'm going to make here. I want you guys to think about it carefully, all right? This was the starting 11 against Feyenoord. First thing I notice, and please don't call me a nationalist because I'm not a nationalist. I know some people think that I am because I keep insisting about Italian players. Now you're going to say a nationalist would say that. I know exactly, Shane. That's exactly what you're going to say. But look, the starting 11, 0 homegrown players. And as I said before, homegrown players don't have to be Italian. They just have to have been through academies in Italian football clubs, right? 0. That was the Feyenoord starting 11, which I believe the starting 11 against Real Madrid also had 0 homegrown players. Now let's look at the bench, and this goes to our point that we made earlier. I think Max and Gino, shout out to their show as well. Max kind of mentioned this. He said the bench doesn't really have players that you can select. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to actually demonstrate to you what Moneyball does and what's actually occurring here. So the rule is this: Champions League squads, 25 players allowed, but you need, I believe, something like 8 homegrown players to have the full roster. Okay, for every homegrown player that you cannot select, you need to take out a non-homegrown player. So let's have a look. The starting 11 did not have a single homegrown player. But lo and behold, when you look at the subs bench, you've got 6 homegrown players: Bartesaghi, Tamarta, Gabbia, Sportiello, Terracciano, and Torriani. I'm going to argue that basically none of them were players that Conceição wanted on that bench, okay, or that he actually intended to use. And how do I back that argument? Look at the players he actually selected during the game to come on. Those are the players that have scores next to them. So Abraham came on, Chukwueze came on, Fofana came on, and Bartesaghi came on, right? Now, do you think for 1 minute that when that squad was put together, the reason it was put together was with those 6 homegrown players in the subs bench was because he intended to use them? No. Okay. What he was having to do, what the club is having to do, is fulfill the quota for the Champions League. So you can look at the squad and say, we've got 21 players. That's not the actual squad. It's much more likely that we have 15, maybe 16 players that Conceição is seriously capable of picking from. And every game, he was having to do this. Every single game. And this goes to your point earlier on, Hasni. There's no competition for Theo. There's no competition for any of the positions here because none of these are truly alternatives to what we had on the pitch. And I'm going to prove it to you as well. So here you have 6 homegrown players simply because he couldn't field the starting 11 if he had not put homegrown players on that squad list. It's just a rule of the Champions League.
But can
Bartesaghi.
we just talk
Yeah,
about
go.
this very quick, right? Because this is very
Let's do it.
important. Because I think what we need to, so I think January, right, was saying in the chat, right? Okay, well, look, would you trade the Scudetto win if it meant that we weren't owned by Redbird, right? To be honest, yes. Right, I would if it meant that we were going to someone who actually, wanted to build a serious sporting project. However, because we're not, right, we know what we have now. I don't see Cardinale and co going anywhere until there's been some sort of definitive resolution on the stadium, because this is part of his project, right? That being said, right, we know that we have someone who doesn't give a shit about the sporting aspect of the club. So I would say let's look at Man United. Let's look at how they're doing, right? And let's put ourselves that we're about 2 or 3 years behind them in their cycle, but we know where we're going. Because once you come to terms with it and you accept it like that, it'll just get far easier. You know, I said it. I said it before the second leg of the Feyenoord game even started, and I said it as a joke, but half not a joke. I said, listen, guys, enjoy this because this could be the last time that we're seeing Champions League football for quite a few seasons. And it feels like that. So,
I mean, okay. So, I mean, just listen. The evidence is in front of your eyes. Yeah. What they've done is they have gone, we want a starting 11. Everything else, F it.
but imagine
Yeah.
that though, John. Imagine you're playing in like probably the biggest club competition in the world, which is the Champions League, right? And you can only really depend on, at a push, your starting 11.
Mm-hmm.
That would not be acceptable like at any other club in the competition. Do you know what I mean?
But
If you're a big one.
Shane, do you understand that during the January transfer window, the players that left us had to leave us because they couldn't field them in this squad? Yeah. If they had not left those extra 3 positions, you just couldn't put them in because there's not enough Italians on that bench, on the bench as part of the overall squad. It's just not possible. That's the utter failure of how this squad has been assembled. Is a complete lack of understanding of Serie A and Champions League rules. I get it. Moncada likes his French players. I get it. Kiroski likes his foreign players as well in the Futuro team. But ultimately, what the Champions League rules say is you represent the nation that you come from. So why don't you have players, not necessarily Italian, but that have come through the youth system because they have to represent your country that you come from?
Because
So
your
this
owner
is
understands baseball more than he understands the club
what's
that he's bought.
it's,
And this
it's
shit
not
will
just
head
the
back
owners,
in.
is it? It's all of the morons who are so-called in charge of the sporting side. This is what makes me really, really angry. Is the
Okay.
fact that, yeah,
I just want
go
to,
on.
so Catchy Beat, sorry, because he's asked this kind of twice, and I just want to make sure we cover it. Sorry, Catchy Beat, for not answering earlier. So, what do you think a fifth spot look for the UCL? Looks like if Roma or Lazio win Europa. To be honest, Catchy Beat, even if the fifth spot opens up, I'm kind of at the level now where I hope we don't get it, because like if we get the fifth spot, that there is kind of where we're saying that we're okay with failure as long as we get into the Champions League. But we're at the point now where I'd prefer for it all to crash and burn. I prefer to probably finish as low as possible as we can in the table, and I prefer for some of our stars to be sold. And the reason being is that at some point we all kind of deserve this, you know.
As a
if
club,
if we're,
I think, okay,
you know,
that might be controversial to some, but I saw who went live after the final game. Someone went live. Was it Rossoneri TV? Was it Rossoneri TV? I think they might have gone live after and they kind of blew up for a few hours. And some people made some points, which was to some maybe really controversial, which is this is what we deserve. The club needs to collapse before people all understand and the entire fan base understand that this is a mess. You cannot accept top 4, top 5. I'd say this. First of all, I think the chances of Serie A now getting a 5th Champions League spot are so remote, slim to none. And when I say slim, probably 2% chance. as you said, it would take all of the Spanish clubs to just collapse, and they're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. Let's face it. Although Real and Athletic are facing each other, which is a bit of a gigantic game for last 16 games. I don't believe that's going to happen. But then the other
It's
aspect is
completely
this.
not deserved as well, John. This is the thing. It's completely
Well,
not deserved.
I think that's the point. That's the actual point. And actually, I'd say this. There's no guarantee that Milan will make top 5. Just look at how we're playing. Hasni said it. What are we doing? What are we competing for? What are the players actually trying to do? There's nothing there that says to you, we can make 5th spot. Nothing. All you're seeing is that the other Bologna lost, and everyone's like, hey, this is our chance to make a breakaway from Bologna. Nope, we lose as well. Lazio drew. Oh, we can make up points on Lazio. Nope, they've actually taken another point gap to us. There's nothing to indicate that we are going to make top 5 anyway. So let's be 100% realistic here and say Serie A doesn't deserve a 5th place in the Champions League. It doesn't. It's not performed this year. It's just not performed at all.
No, that's a fair point. And that's a very valid point, John. Because just to go back to what I said, right? If you have Juventus, obviously us, so Juventus, Milan, and Atalanta, right, getting kicked out, not even in the knockouts, right? Pre-knockouts, right? And those are your 3 teams that are getting knocked out, right? Why the fuck would we deserve a 5th space spot over the likes of someone from the Premier League, at which you have a very strong Real, a very strong, fairly broke, okay, I'll admit it, Barcelona, right, and a strong Atletico Madrid. Serie A doesn't deserve a 5th spot. I couldn't give a fucking flying toss.
But let's just think about the cope levels that are happening here. We, as a Milan club, Milan fan base, are talking about getting into the Champions League through other clubs' achievements.
Right. This is right. See, this is the thing.
John, we've done it before. We've even got it through the courts, yeah, when Juve got penalized. So,
but I did not sit there, Hasni. I did not sit there saying that was our achievement, did I? I never sat there saying, "Hey, we got in through the courts, therefore we are the best." We've achieved our objective. No,
I do want to pose a counter argument here. Is that you guys are right, yeah? So there needs to be a form of punishment where essentially the rod in the club gets kicked out through one means. So if the club does do poorly, I think a revolution is in order. But let me pose a counter argument to say is that if we do get into top 4 by whatever miracle, or if we do somehow get a 5th place and we get in there, I believe that there are players within the club that don't deserve what is happening. So I'll give you names. Pulisic, I think he's been, Pulisic, I think he's been outstanding for us, and I do want him to continue to do well. Jimenez, I think he's had a good break, and he's really growing within the role. And the other Jimenez, so who just came, I think that is a real player there. So there is the rod that needs to be kicked out of the club, but I don't think everyone needs to be punished. Inevitably, because we're a team, and if the team does badly, everyone's going to end up feeling it. But I do want some of these players to be protected in the sense that they can carry this team forward. It's just the rest, their heads need to be on the chopping block.
No, but look at Hanwardi's comment, right? And I agree with it. He said, so if we get the Champions League through some fucking miracle, right? If we get the Champions League, the management stays and we're kicking the can down the road, what's the point? Very true. But we need to temper expectations here, right? Because even if we don't get the Champions League, Redbird is going nowhere. Because all the Champions League, they have a plan in place if we don't get the Champions League. And that just means probably sell Teo, which, okay, fair enough. He's been going downhill, that's fine. Sell Leao, right? Put that money in the bank. Keep half of it towards the new stadium, right? And then we'll get in 2 unknown players in left back and left wing. This is already planned out, guys. right? So the thing is forget about Redbird going in, they're not going to go anywhere, right? So, but all I'm saying is I'm literally at the point with this club now, whereas I feel nothing for the club anymore, right? And that's at the fault of the current management. So if the remainder of their stay will be as financially unpleasant as possible, I will be very happy if that happens. And that includes us finishing mid-table until they get the fucking stadium built, and then they fuck off.
Yeah. I don't know about this bloody stadium crap. I think it's all BS again. Wow. Man, okay. Let's just finish off this point here, which is the one homegrown player that was used was Bartesaghi. Do you guys seriously think that Bartesaghi was supposed to have been selected this game? Did you really think that Conceição wanted to use him? And I said, okay, let's have a look at how many minutes Bartesaghi has played in Serie A. The answer is 50 minutes, the entire season. He's come on for 5 minutes against Lecce where he got red card, and then he played 45 minutes against Parma. Is Bartesaghi a player that you think was destined to come on in the Champions League against Final when we were in trouble? No.
But if he's picking up red
Absolutely not.
cards like that, he is a good understudy to Teo. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah. He wanted a break. He wanted a
Yeah.
break. He played too many. He played 5 minutes. It's unbelievable, man. It's just this is absolutely, and this goes to the next point, which is the futuro. The futuro, my opinion, I've said it before, I'm going to express it again, was a complete disaster in the way it was set up. You cannot have an adult league and put so many children into a squad together. They have to be mixed with adults for them to be able to see, to have that support, a physical support in the squad, for them to be able to grow. This is why we got 30 players that are sitting in the futuro who are most likely looking for ways out of the club.
But
Yeah?
you know what's good? Do you know what I like about the Futuro? We
Wow.
can definitively nail that down to one person that fucked that up more so than all the other shambolic bullshit that's happened around the club. And we can nail that down specifically to Ibrahimovic because it was his choice to get in this fucking joker from, I don't know, the McDonald's
Galaxy.
League. LA Galaxy, right? So it was his choice to get in this guy who doesn't have a fucking clue. So at least we can pin this directly down to Ibra. You know, compared to the rest.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can 100% pin it on Ibra. And the rumor this week was the Futuro team is really struggling, by the way, guys. I think there's like, if I'm correct, there's a 7-point gap to safety now. And they're saying that if the team gets relegated Serie D, the project will be disbanded. So, good job. Fantastic. So, we've spoken
That's
about...
going to be really bad because I think even the Futuro, there are some players that are not bad. Whether they're ready for the league and to start, I doubt it. But if they were to be disbanded, then where do these players go? They can't put them back into Primavera, right? So
No, well, they said so. It's still early on, but so there is another way that they can literally just be playing in Serie C next year. So all they have to do is they basically just have to buy another club. You know, like they did with I can't
and
remember.
get them
whatever.
relegated too.
No, pretty much. It's just a case where they just buy another club, rebranded as Futuro, Forza North American sports guys, because this is literally what they do. And yeah, so no, that's all they have to do. But to be honest, you don't need a Futuro. What you need is a clear path from the Primavera to the first team. Futuro was a nice dream. Hasn't been applied properly. It can be applied probably under new ownership that actually have a fucking clue about what they're doing, and therefore it might survive long enough to be of some use. But yeah, this club can't have nice things. And unfortunately, the Futuro going down the pan, it was probably one of the only positive things about the sporting project that Redbird had that I could point to. And again, it's gone south. just like everything else. So
Yeah. They managed to fuck that up really nicely. Good morning, Max or Gino. Look, MLM podcast over here.
yeah,
Good
shout out,
morning,
guys.
guys. Right, so let's get back onto the next game. So we've gone from one conversation talking about, a disastrous squad, really laying out the point as to why the squad setup is disastrous and pointing the finger squarely at management. And it led us all the way through to talking about the Futuro project. Now we talk about another disastrous game. Okay, listen, I think pre-game, I'm not sure what I expected from this Milan squad. And we've discussed it before. You can't tell what's going to turn up. We can never know how we're going to play. But yeah, it didn't take long, did it, to go down? So I'll full disclosure, I was listening to this game through Rinaldo Morelli, I think his name is, whilst I was doing the flooring in my living room, and I did what took 5 minutes to hear of an absolute disaster, which involved Malik Chow own goal, but Manyan and his bone crushing pile driver of a shot that he took. He just wanted to clear it out of there, I think, and panicked and just smashed it into Chow, and it bounced back into the goal. And of course, start all the memes about a circus, how Milan is constantly conceding these joke goals. The team tried to get back into it. Reindeer scored in the 74th minute. I thought it was a decent goal, actually. But again, comedy show. What do they say every time? You're very, very liable to concede goals just after you scored. You need to switch on. You need to be, with it. Wake up. And of course, they got a free kick. Our defense did not set itself. Chow was still talking to the referee, hands out, going, oh, yeah, and a ball was passed through Ginetis, who scored the winner. And at no point did I think we were going to win that game afterwards.
There was a very interesting statistic on the stream that I was watching for this game. So Chow, right, has scored more goals for Torino this season than 23 of their first team squad. Because remember, he scored an own goal in the last game as well. So he's essentially scored 2 goals for Torino this season.
That's brilliant. That's a brilliant stat. Wow. He scored a brace.
Like, fuck.
Wow, that's tremendous. That is a great stat. Well done, man.
With regards to the own goal that you mentioned, John, and we've spoken about this in other games before. The issue with our defense, I don't think anyone in defense trusts each other. It's always seemed to be that whenever there is these sort of situations, as you rightly put, and a lot of people have said, we are the circus. We turn into absolute circus. Everyone is a clown. I don't know how we're ever going to fix this defense. It's something that I'm sounding like a broken record each time I say it.
200 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe we might need more than that.
All new players. No, because I'll tell you, you're right. They don't trust each other, right? And I'll tell you why, right? Because there is not one of those players. Yeah, I could even expand it, right, to pass the defense, because the midfield is the same, and our strikers as well. There is no fucking player, right, on this team with any grinta, with any balls, right? Because you see this, because as soon as things start going south in any game, they're shouting at each other like children, right? Because they're fucking panicking.
Yeah, I agree with that. So there's 2 things on that point as well. We've had, I think, one of our better defenders, Gabbia. He's Italian, in case Conceição is not aware. Or maybe that's the reason why he's been benched. I know that there was that mistake in the recent games. I don't know what's going on with him, and I do want to credit a little bit. Now, I know a lot of people have been singing praises, but because this player has turned it around quite a bit. Pavlovic, I thought he did quite well. But that being said, it's not winning us games, and I know that Conceição's focus is only on trying. I don't know if he ever will to get to the top 4 and to get into a European place. But other than that, we have no project, which we've spoken a lot about before. Sorry, John. Yes, rambling a little bit.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Shane, did you have something to say? You had your finger up. You had your hand up.
No.
No. Okay, cool. So just want to say good morning, Carmelo. Ciao, ciao. So I'm gonna read to you, for those of you listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast. This is the match report from our website, our club website. All right. So it says it started badly. In the 5th minute, a mistake gave Torino the opener. Mannion tried to clear the ball coming off his line, but it hit Chow and rolled into the net. AC Milan reacted by attacking with Pulisic and Hernandez trying to turn things around. A big chance came in the 21st minute, a forward run which freed Jimenez Santi, who took the shot while slipping, which was saved by Milinkovic-Savic, in my opinion, man of the match. We kept pressing, and in the 24th minute, Jimenez failed once again. In the 33rd minute, Leao won us a penalty with a Pedersen handball from the spot. Pulisic was kept out by Milinkovic-Savic, who got to the bottom corner. So that was a point we forgot, which was a penalty save as well. Another threat in the 38th minute. Mannion kept out Pedersen. A few seconds later, and Mike proved once again to deny Vlasic. Joao Felix had a go in injury time, but nothing came from the header. Rossoneri started with a change of setup and players, not managing to get forwards until the 57th minute, when Fofana called the goalkeeper into action from a distance. In the 61st minute, Jimenez recovered the ball and set off on the counter. Reindeers to Joao Felix, who took a shot on the turn but was met by Milinkovic-Savic again, like a wall yesterday. Then we started to push, creating 2 chances. In the 64th minute, Reindeer's ball looked unstoppable, but Milinkovic-Savic somehow kept it out. And in the 65th minute, Jimenez's shot just went wide. Having avoided conceding another goal through Ginetis when he went close on the 74th minute, we levelled. There was a run and cross from Sotil. By the way, Sotil had come on, did a great job. The ball fell to Reindeers, who powered in under the crossbar. So Sotil was the sub for Leao. No time to even catch our breath when the Granata retook the lead 2 minutes later, when Sanabria took a quick free kick and we were not ready. Ginetis got on the end and shot home. Then came the final assault when Sotil stopped in the final minutes and Pavlovic getting away a header to no avail. Final whistle. So that is the official match report from our own website. So slightly biased towards us. So Milinkovic-Savic did an incredible job, but it's just a comedy of errors, guys. It's a lack of attention. It's a lack of focus. I didn't think that the penalty was particularly good either. But yeah, their goalkeeper was man of the match. What else can we say about this game? I think what happened between Mannion and Chow is, again, there's this nervousness around the club. The players are just not, it feels like the players are just not free to be themselves. And they're not enjoying their football. I think that's a sense I'm getting. But no one is enjoying watching this club at the moment. I can't imagine a single fan that is sitting there saying, I want to wake up, him from down under. It would have been 4 a.m. for him. So he did a good job not to stay up and watch this, because he woke up and all he did when he woke up was send me a laughing emoji. So let's look at the squads and the subs. I've got a question for you guys. What's the point of Camarda coming on the 88th minute? Tell me, what's the point? Musa started the game. 54th minute, Abraham came on because Musa, of course, had picked up a yellow card. And after the game, Conceição was asked, what's going on with Musa? And he said, it was dangerous to keep him in that midfield. Yeah, I think he is. I think it's dangerous to start him. But going back to the point right early on that we spoke about, who could he have put on instead of Musa? Because I believe in his head, the only potential player to take that position is Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who all reports is that he has suffered a relapse of the injury that had taken him out in the first place. So that is the sporting side of the club. We do not have substitutes for so many positions. And so he's forced into it.
Shout out to the referee, though,
yeah,
because he tried to do so many favors for us yesterday. It was great to see it, to be honest. And we couldn't even capitalize. It's such a shame.
Well, I don't remember that, but Shane, if you say that, then so be it. You were watching it live, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's terrible, terrible. And so Jimenez was subbed on the 88th minute for. Oh my God, this is so confusing. Alex was substituted for Chukwueze, and Santi was substituted for Camarda. Camarda came on for him, and Abraham came on for Musa. And Conceição post game said, "I'm going to be here. I'm going to be working really hard. I'm working really hard. I'm going to do everything for top four. Everything's about top four." I'm pretty sure pre-game Conceição said that this game was like a Champions League fixture for us. It's a fucking piss take, if you ask me, to say things like that. You should never say things like that to our fan base. But yeah, I think this is another discussion to
But
be
John,
had.
that
Go
sort
on.
of statement is what you expect from like a mid-table club, right? To be fair.
Yeah, this is like a Champions League fixture for us because this is as good as it gets. So, oh God, this was the incident from the 5th minute. I mean, look, even the Torino player was so scared. He went, "I'll hide behind you, Chow. Hopefully you can take the hit instead of me." Can you see this? Manyan hit that ball with such furious power, with absolutely no control, that Chow had no idea where it was going. He was scared shitless.
To be fair, right? I'd blame Chow more than Mike on this one. So Chow should have gotten out the way far more quickly because he knew what Mike was going to do, right? Everyone knew what Mike was going to do. He's going to have to hit the ball, right? But the thing is he didn't get out the way.
It would have. I mean, he might have taken the head off the Torino player if he had gotten out the way, which would have been a good thing for us. But I just noticed. Look at Conceição in the background. He's going, "What is happening?" Look at his face. Yeah. He's going, what is going on here?" 5 minutes into the game.
And keep in mind, right? I don't know if this is correct, but I cannot remember Torino having a shot on goal all during the first half.
I think according to the commentary, I think I heard one or two.
I think they had some good shots, by the way. Yeah? But Mike said, I mean, after this era, Mike wasn't that bad.
No,
well, great.
Because I get recency bias, and I know the Feyenoord game people are a bit anti-Mike right now, but to be honest, I would probably pin the blame on Chow a bit more because he just didn't get out the way in time, and he knew what Mike had to do. He had the fucking laces.
You're not the only one, Shane. You are not the only one to say that to me today. You're the second person to say that to me today. The other one is Kim, who's just joined us. Hello, sir, from the land down under. So we had a discussion about this as well.
We can't be blaming Mike for everything. Like it's
I mean, he's got Shane. He's had a glorious 2 weeks though. I mean, dude, that Feyenoord first leg, that was quite something. That save. So but you can understand it. I understand
it. But the thing is, though, like Mike's always been prone to these complete fuck ups. Right, he always has been. This is no surprise. But the thing is because we could actually score going forward. It was never really a problem because we knew that Mike had special things in his locker as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's only becoming an issue now because despite having like a strike force that's better than Rui Costa and Kaká and Shevchenko and fucking whoever else. Right, we still can't get a fucking goal in the net. That's where it's really damaging.
Well, the Fab Four. I think someone's mentioned it today. The Fab Four's not working. It really isn't working.
What's concerning as well is like I think Leao is kind of writing himself into the same kind of like section of the book now as Theo is. When you see he's getting taken off like that, I'd say your time is probably done at the club. To be quite honest, I'm not one of these guys who are, happy about the fact that we're selling our Scudetto winning players. However, if Theo goes, I think it makes sense for Leao to go as well.
Shane, I think Leao is maybe there are alternatives to Leao. I mean, what I've seen is that we've seen
Leao hasn't started some games, and Leao can be subbed off. Theo, that doesn't happen to Theo.
Hmm.
And yeah, you're
Yeah.
right, John. Sotil, I think he had a good game, and yeah, the guy's growing into the role. So whether he can start for us against a high level team, I doubt so. But for Torino, teams around our level, maybe Sotil can do the job.
No,
Well, so let's talk about Leao for a minute, guys. All right, Leao came off at halftime. You've mentioned him, Shane. Right, he came off at halftime. Conceição was asked after the game, and we've got to discuss this. Coach, why did you remove Leao? Was it a tactical decision or was it an injury? Because we did not see him come out and sit in the dugout watching the rest of the team play the second half. And the answer from Conceição, no, not an injury, it was a tactical decision. Right. So obviously,
how the fuck is it tactical? If the player's coming off, like what? Tactical how? Like,
well, he
Jesus.
clearly judged him in the first half to have been utter shite, and so he said, "We need something else. I'm going to bring."
Oh, sorry. I thought he was
Yeah.
referring to the fact that he wasn't on, like he wasn't watching the game from.
No.
the
That's
sidelines.
something that
How the
obviously.
fuck is that tactical?
No, that's not tactical. That's the reporter kind of dropping a little bit of how can I put it, venom into the question, which, as we've discussed, the media is loving to do right now. But we're giving them so much ammunition every single game.
To be fair,
this game, yeah.
did you? I don't know if it was before the Feyenoord game or if it was before the Torino game. So apparently Conceição basically told all of the reporters, right, shut off your phones, do not write anything down. And then he basically told them to basically stop writing complete bullshit about the club. And then he was like, okay, now we can start. So
yeah, that's really going to work, Shane. That they're really going to listen to that. That and in fact, the fact that you know that, it means they reported on that.
100%, right?
It's the whole point of like you don't. It's so counteractive. So stupid. Anyway, so I had to do a meme for Manyan as well. He did. To me, he deserves it this time after 2 glorious weeks. So here he is kicking a ball. He's trying to beat Musa's shot. I think how hard he hit that ball, I think that might actually beat Musa's. And yeah, I think this is why the Torino player was hiding behind Chow, man, because he was scared that was going to be his head. This is going to happen to him. Oh no, you need to laugh at these things, guys. You just need to. You can't take this. Otherwise, we just not watch another Milan game again. You've got to laugh at these things, And I hope Manyan can laugh. Afterwards you'll be able to take a little bit of a rest and a bit of a breather, and say, look, okay, it was a complete fuck up. I admit it, and just hold your hands up. Complete fuck up. I made a mistake. Let's just own it and move on. All right.
But you know who's such a frustrating player to watch? And like, God help me, if I'm developing this fucking psychosis about a player after 3 games in the jersey, I can't see him here after 6 months. João Felix is such a fucking frustrating player to watch because he literally will do nothing for 80 to 89 minutes of the game, and then he'll pull off a fucking pass that's worthy of prime Kaká.
Yeah.
Like,
but we knew that when he joined us, Shane. We literally, everybody knew that. Felix has had that history of doing this. The hope was, he's got a Portuguese manager, therefore he'll get the best out of him.
Musa, like, at whatever, Musa is such a limited player, right? But he doesn't have it in his, like, whatever. It's no one's fault if the player is limited. It's only our fault that we don't have a better player than him to be playing in the position, right?
Yeah.
But at least Musa will put in a shift, God bless him. But fucking, like, João Felix is literally, when you have Musa and João Felix, right, you are missing out on so many potential game changers because it's like you're playing 9v11. Like, It's such
Yeah.
a shame.
No, it's a point. Oh, here you go. Finished there, Husney. You can stop the share, and then we can have a closer look at your glorious jersey, Husney.
Oh yeah.
Look at this, guys. Guys, we need to bring attention to this. I mean, that Belgium kit is amazing, Husney. I love it. I love it. Forza
Yeah, like
Belgium.
part of the proceeds go towards other clubs to help them buy players, better players to beat us.
Oh man, this is amazing. But yeah, so that's the discussion. The next game we've got coming up. It's a very weird rescheduling that we had. Wednesday game moved to Thursday, which doesn't really make sense. It gives us a day less to rest for the Lazio game, which is suspicious. But yeah, we've got Bologna on Thursday, and now we've got a day less to prepare for the Lazio game as well. So wonderful. What's your prediction for the Bologna game? Hasnik, you go first.
Oh, looking into my crystal ball, I think we'll pull it off. I think because right now we're pretty much shit. We can't be shit for too long, so there's gonna be that odd bounce. Uh, then for Lazio, I see it's too tough. We might. My prediction is one win out of the two. The second game might be a draw or loss.
All right. Shane, your prediction, sir.
I mean, logic would say we'd lose the both of them. So I think that means we'll probably win the both of them. But the thing is even when we win the both of them, the fan base will become crazy again and overhyped because they're not remembering that, no offense, but we should be beating these teams easily anyway. So, who cares?
I would say.
Because seriously,
No, I don't. I don't have a clue. I've tried to predict Milan results lately, and I've got them so wrong in every single occasion. I felt very confident in some games, and I don't know. Actually, in fact, whatever I say, the opposite will happen. So whatever my gut is telling me now, the opposite will happen. So get prepared, guys. I'm going to tell you now. I think Milan beats Bologna and draws with Lazio. So the Lazio draw will stay because there's no opposite to a draw, and we lose to Bologna then, isn't it? That's what's actually going to happen. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. But the problems are baked in. The problems in the squad are baked in now, and that's what we've got until the end of the season. You can't blood players in. It's too late for that. Conceição's not had a preseason. Too late for that. So what are we going to do? Is he going to suddenly start to integrate youth? No, we've been calling for that for the
I'll,
last 6 months.
I tell you what won't make a shit of a difference. And I know people, I can understand. Well, partially I can understand, but there's also a part of me that doesn't really understand. So, just calling for Conceição to be booted out and then Sarri to come in. In what Marvel universe, right? Do you think that Sarri's going to have a fucking positive effect on this squad?
The discussion on Sarri. Yes.
This
Yeah,
makes
but
no sense.
further to that, Shane, any new coach probably would want some new players and reinforcements. What budget do we have for any of that anyway?
Dude, Oliver, I'm telling you, like our budget, right? Our budget for this summer coming up, was probably burned through in January. So
yeah.
And I'm not saying Sarri's a bad coach, but I'm saying Sarri is just a more efficient yes man. Just like Paratici, who they want to get into the ex-fucking guy that was done for, okay, there was issues at Spurs, I believe, or was it Juventus? I know he was at Spurs, and then he got Paratici. He was at Spurs, but then he got into hot water over stuff that happened at Juventus, and therefore he was suspended for a couple of years, and now he's able to come back in 2020, like in June. So, but here's why that also won't work, because they're also saying, Ferlani is saying that he wants a guy also that won't rock the boat as a sporting director.
Oh, we need someone to literally sink Forlani's boat. Pull the plug
So
on it.
here's the thing: is if you're not going to rock the boat as sporting director, you're literally just going to be going by what idiot Ibra and fucking Simp Furlani are telling you to do, and then you're going, "Oh, why isn't this working?" We know it's why it's not working, because these guys don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. So therefore,
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is, be prepared for a banter era. It's because Redbird are going nowhere. You know, this new sporting director is going to be smoke and mirrors, because he won't be someone who actually has the keys to change to the sporting project, or he's not going to have the balls to change it, because he wouldn't be hired if he did.
Yeah.
It's just going to go back to the same issues. To be honest, everything about the sporting project, the playing style, the destruction that's been done to the squad is, I think at this point, it's just down to the playing style. I think MLM covered it on their podcast 2 or 3 podcasts ago. We used to do fine when we were kind of doing, we were countering with Pioli, and we did okay. And next thing, then it was decided by our genius ownership that they want an EPL attacking team, right? So let's now just buy fucking as many attacking players as we can and throw them on the pitch, not understanding that this is Italy and coaches account for that, and they will destroy you on the counter. So there's nothing positive about this project. Like, there's into the future, like with this project, there's nothing positive at all. Right. So what I'd suggest is look where Man United are now. Right. They're probably about 2 or 3 years ahead of us in terms of their banter era, because that's where we're going. Hopefully, though, our new stadium is built then. And then we can just, we can move on, because there's nothing good coming for this club. There's nothing.
But our moves are almost similar to United. Yeah, we got the Portuguese coach thing. We got like the type of players in that profile, underperforming ones still staying. I mean, the parallels. You can't make this up.
No, you almost wonder if they're talking to each other, isn't it? The owners. They're probably good buddies.
No, Xerxes.
Oh man, Xerxes.
Xerxes, it wouldn't surprise me if Xerxes rocks up, because then we'll get an underperforming player from Man United just to complete the bullshit cycle then, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, start shopping at Man United. I think the problems going forward are this, guys. It doesn't, like, if you open the transfer window and you remove a Theo Hernandez, what will then happen is they'll see that as a non-homegrown player position that's gone. They've got money for it, which they can then spend on another non-homegrown player. What they're not understanding is the very simple rule that exists in everything. You need, I don't care if they're Italian, I care that they're homegrown. Okay. I mean, obviously, I think the core should always have been Italian in the first place. I think Tonali should be our captain. I think he should never have gone. But okay, you saw an opportunity, you took it, you sold him. All right. But
sorry, he'd be a great captain at Juventus.
that. Oh God! I mean, he's used to wearing red. He's used to wearing white and black now, isn't he? So it's not so much of a step. But let's just say this, guys. Nothing is going to change for as long as they do not understand that the bench has to have players that are a realistic alternative. And the bench cannot have non-homegrown players that are not a realistic because you cannot fit any more in. Do you get me? You like, physically, by the rules, you cannot fit any more non-homegrown players in. So you have to improve
John,
the quality of the players.
requires Italian players. That would require like greater investment than getting some kid from fucking Belgium or France.
But so you end up with the same 15 players every season, which means you cannot cope with more. But that's you see, my frustration is ultimate. So we've done it. We've done a breakdown now of what happened with the Feyenoord squad. This was a story throughout the season. This is the story replicated in Serie A. The squad cannot be built like this because you cannot cope with an entire season with only a realistic option of 15 or 16. You cannot, unless you are I don't know, making them wear first, unless you're pumping them with some steroids to keep them running all the time, or
Atalanta,
unless you're
allegedly.
forcing them to wear knee braces or whatever, because players cannot cope with that workload. Do you get me? Like, so the ultimate problem here is, and everyone has said it in this podcast and in previous conversation, we do not have a sporting director with the knowledge and power to be able to fix this problem. Any Italian sporting director, and this comment here from Giannuardi about Dottavio getting the fuck out of there. Dottavio was just a name. He was just like, let's just bring someone from internal. Yeah. If you're serious about the project,
for legal reasons, he had to be named, but he literally had no pull on what was going on.
He had to be named for sporting regulation reasons. We needed to name a sporting director. That is not how you run a club. A sporting director needs to come in and say, all right, what is the makeup of the club? Right, we need to have a full squad of players that we can select from. That means by regulations, you need to have players that are serious on the bench as options. Conceição even said it against other clubs. He said it after the Zagreb match. Just remember what he said. He said, I was forced. I only had 15 players to choose from. I had 6 children on that bench. He was telling all the fans exactly what we're talking about today. And you look at the Feyenoord squad, that Feyenoord team was massively limited. They couldn't play in any other style than what they did, right? So congratulations to them for getting through Milan and stopping Milan from scoring more than one goal. But all the hate, all the vitriol should be going towards the club and its management right now, because they have left us in a position where the damage from when we won the Scudetto with that squad to now, the degradation that they've done to our squad is criminal. There's no other word for it. It's criminal. And to fix this problem is going to take years, Shane and Hasni. It will take years. So don't fuck management. And I this is what makes my blood boil. It isn't just the football side of it. The football is comedy. You can laugh at that. But the football is a result of the utter shit show that's been happening within this club for the last few years. Since Redbird have come in, the lies of wanting to win anything. And I'm gonna say it now, and people are gonna hate me for this. I don't give a fuck about winning the Coppa d'Italia. It won't fix a thing for me. I don't give a fuck about winning the Coppa d'Italia, and I don't give a fuck about what's the other one? Finishing 4th or 5th. I am not made of that.
If we do win the Copa, you're gonna bet there's gonna be a jersey there, a special jersey.
Limited edition bullshit. Oh yeah. But just a quick one as well, right? Because see, this is why I'm so convinced we're going to go the Man United route, because there's no one that'll come to save us, and I'll tell you why. So with Elliott and their unique position, they're not in a position where they want to see Redbird succeed. Because ideally what they want is they want to take control of the club again at a cut price, so then they can flip it. Right? So this is no longer the Elliott that came to help us out. This is the Elliott that wants to basically flip the club. And to do that, they'll have to get control over it again. And for that, it'll take Redbird to massively fail, which I don't think Redbird will in the first place. So, yeah, there's no one here that's going to come and save us. To be honest, there's no one with serious money, I think, that would actually come in and put money down, because there's no stadium.
Well, InvestCorp is still hovering, aren't they?
But don't InvestCorp also own Newcastle?
No, that's a different group. InvestCorp is Bahraini. Newcastle is the PIF, the Saudi group.
Okay, right. Okay, don't they own a club in Saudi Arabia or something like that? Because wasn't that club, didn't they come in for Leao in the transfer window?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm getting confused.
All I care about is I think they have the money to take out a Redbird.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
if that's the case,
let's put it this way, guys. would anybody pay 1.2 billion for this project for
Why
the
would
club
you?
as it is now?
Why would you?
No.
You just
The
go to
answer
the
is no.
Premier
It's a
League.
straight no. No, you wouldn't pay 1.2 billion for Milan today. There's no stadium. The Futuro squad has been degraded. I mean, God knows what their valuation now is. Yeah. And the starting squad has got a bunch of players that know that they're not going to be challenged. My main fear, and I go back to Husney's point earlier, my main fear is that we've got genuine prospects now. Santi Jimenez, you can see he's hungry because he's come from a club where he was having to do something to prove himself, right? And he's come here, and my concern is he's going to realize he doesn't need to try. And then this laziness and attitude of, I don't need to try, will then spread to him. I don't want that to happen because I think he looks like a special player, like a real deal. Alex Jimenez, he looks like every time he's come in, he could do something. He could be something within this club. And again, it's up to what you have inside to do your best every single time you hit the pitch. The moment you get lazy and you realize, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter what I do. This manager ain't taking me off. That's what's happened to 99% of our starting squad. They will realize that they don't have to try very hard to be put on that pitch. Partly because of where they've come from, how much they've been paid for. You know, there's pressure on there to tell them to put them on the pitch. You know, I mean, Chicken Royale, did he deserve to be starting game in, game out every single match? No, but he was paid, they paid 15 million for him. That's why they had to field him. Yeah. So we've got a problem here, guys, because we've got some very talented players who potentially are going to be infected by the apathy that exists in our club. And we've got some fans who are willing to accept failure. That's another problem, I think, that exists in the fan base at the moment.
But I think that's what's happened with Teo and Leao, though. And I think, unfortunately, as great as they could have been, they'll never really reach that ceiling now. So I think that's why they both need to go in the summer. I just think they've been here too long. They've seen the best and the worst of times at the club. God bless them, they were there. But I think you can't really justify, you know, we can't be waiting on players who deliver a, 8 out of 10 performance every 10 games.
Mm.
It's
But further to that, and what will be even worse than what we've spoken about is that for these players who probably would want to, who have to move on, and when they do, if Theo does, I bet you the next club he goes to, he's probably going to explode there because then he's like, hey, I got competition. Hey, I got to prove something. I'm in a new club. I can't be like pulling my old tricks. Watch them do so much better than when they were languishing with us. I mean, I'm going to keep talking about this example. Look at Kalulu. Injury ridden, could barely get a few games together, goes to Juve, starts almost every game, and now he's on the cusp of making the Champions League. So yeah, I mean they've moved on to better things maybe.
But I think this is the problem, hasn't he? We've spoken about it today. You go to a club where there's genuine competition, these guys have to pull up their socks and work hard, and then you see the best. We've seen the best of Leao. We've seen the best of Theo. We're not seeing it now because they've realized that's it. There's no competition. There's no project. There's nothing going forward. There's no light that tells us that something's coming in that's going to make anything any different for them. So they can just do whatever they want. Now, potentially you can say that's human nature. You know, there's I think there's a saying in biology. I think a starfish wanders around looking for a home, and once it finds a rock to stick to, it loses its brain. It eats its own brain. Now, that's a saying years ago. I don't know if that's even true. But it was
I'm googling that now.
it was a comparator that someone was telling me, Shane, years ago, saying, you know, when you're competing as a scientist against other people, you give your best when you're coming up. But then when you get comfortable, put your feet under the table, you kind of just relax and you no longer come up with innovative ideas. Doesn't matter. He's googling it anyway, isn't he? Because he's like, oh, is that possible? Starfish FC. That's what we are. We are. Nice one, Husney.
Oh no, they don't have a brain anyway.
They don't have a brain anyway, do they?
No.
That's a shame. Well, that reminds you of Furlani. Anyway, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there for this week. I've had my rant. I feel I feel better. Do you guys feel any better having after our discussion today, Husni?
Definitely every week. I mean, to let it all out and to all the fans in the chat as well.
That's it. No, I mean,
Shane?
to be honest, I've kind of accepted it at this point. And if I can't enjoy this club that I once loved, I hope it crashes and burns, because it'll cause a lot of trouble for Cardinale along the way, and that's all I can stick to now. So
yeah, we need Cardinale to feel the pain, really. Okay, so I'm gonna try. I'm going through the chat. So, hello, Fahadinho. Thank you, Husni Hernandez. That's an interesting new name.
That's not me, by the way.
I can think it was you. Kachavit, Januardi. Who else did we have? Kim joined us for a little bit. We had the Max Lombardia show who joined us. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. Carmelo, of course, also. I think I haven't forgotten anyone. But yeah, thank you all for joining. Honestly, that was a great discussion. Yeah, sorry for ranting a little bit, but the anger, the fury was real, and for swearing, I'll have to bleep myself in the future. Forza Milan, everyone! Don't take that back, and I think we should finish by enjoying Husni's kit. Just
yeah.
yeah.
I also want to say, thanks to everyone who joined, and to those who are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We're also live on Instagram, by the way. So in future, I'll try to remember to set that up. You can also catch us there if it's more convenient. And for those who are listening, and if you'd like to join our WhatsApp group, so if you don't know, we have a WhatsApp group of our regulars. Feel free to, please, if you're interested, do drop us a DM on Instagram, and we'll add you to the chat. And yeah, pretty much on. We're quite active over there, and we can exchange our ideas more often.
Yeah, hit us up on X as well, at Milanistas360 as well. Yeah, we can get you on board there into the WhatsApp chat as well. That by that means. So
fantastic. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, however much you have left in your different time zones, and Forza Milan.
Forza Milan, Forza Starfish.
Let's go, Moneyball.
Che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, caricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno di Saverato è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
Il gol è un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare felici e contenti.
Con questa maglia devo veramente fare